extremely clear to me that I don't know if Craig Leopold if it's an edict or not, but I don't think that anybody that was given this extra year by Chuck Fletcher, which is almost everybody in the organization that hasn't lost their job yet, is going to get fired. I don't think that Craig is going to just have dead money out there without guys that are good hockey people that aren't working. So I think what we're going to see is a lot of these guys work the year and then lose their jobs. Brent Flair is the senior vice president of hockey ops. He was Chuck Fletcher's number 2 for the right-hand man for 9 years. He's, I think, going to probably, it hasn't been told to me, but it's been alluded to me that it's like, all right, you're out of the office, go amateur scout, which is your bread and butter anyway, go amateur scout for the year. So I think we're going to see a lot less of Brent, and he's going to be more like head amateur scout this year than what he was doing, right-hand man and blah, blah, blah. Shep Harder, who is the contract guy, who is an assistant GM, he's also their CBA expert. He's kind of like he's who, tells you, hey, by the way, you need to know that this is coming. He's very important in the organization. I can't see him going anywhere because I don't know who would do that job. And Paul hasn't done that job, and really Curvers hasn't done that job. So I think he is absolutely integral right now. And then Bruno's another good question. I think that maybe, I do think that I wrote the other day that scouts lost their job. I know their names. I'm not writing it. They have families. Wild fans don't care who the scouts are, I don't think. But I will say their director of pro development or pro scouting since the Doug Risebrough administration, Blair Mackesy was definitely one that lost the job. And my guess, and I think Jamie Hislop, their other pro scout, retired. So the other one that I don't know what his fate is Chris Kelleher. So right now I'm just going to say that he's status quo. But because they just got rid of or lost 2 pro scouts, one on his own volition, the other that was let go, my guess is Bruno is going to do a lot of that, a lot of pro scouting. And he's the other assistant GM. But technically, unless there's title changes, there are 3 assistant GMs right now. Right now, as far as I know, the 2 analytics people from Warren Ice, the people that they hired 3 or 4 years ago from them, are still on. I'm guessing that they were 2 of the people that got Alexandra and Alex, that they both got an extra year from Chuck. So my guess is they're safe. And that's really makes up the front office that people would know. All scouts that I know that didn't have an extra year have lost their jobs. But I haven't heard a couple names that have been there for a long time that are good local scouts, and maybe they're staying on. So we'll see. But they definitely have started making moves there. And the other thing I will say, I did go just out of my own. It was like a last second thought today, but I went to the Oilers website to just see if PJ Fenton was still listed there as a scout. He is, but I would almost guarantee that PJ Fenton, his son, is going to be a scout here. Or in some capacity in the front office. Let's put it that way. Whether it's amateur or again, in the front office working with Paul.
Makes sense. Let's talk about...
And everybody, by the way, says that PJ is a great guy, great hockey guy. He's kind of freshly off the ice, too, which is kind of cool. So...
Cool. Let's talk about Tavares and the overall free agency picture in the NHL after we thank Fixology Repair, fixologyrepair.com. 3rd floor of the Mall of America by Nordstrom's, downtown, just south of the Wells Fargo Center, in the Skyway, which means 2nd level, across from Dunn Brothers and right by Taco John's and all those places. I walk by there all the time. It's very convenient, just a nice, tidy little space with all kinds of cool accessories. They specialize in jewelry repair, iPhone repair, tablet repair. I got to take my tablet in. I'm going to take my tablet in next week. My iPad's banged up a little bit. Cell phone repair, watch repair. You can buy stuff there as well. Check out fixologyrepair.com. John Hedge is our friend. We'll be seeing soon down at Dulono's because he comes to all the live shows.
There are some things in life that you just can't live without. Now, whether it's a special piece of jewelry, a watch, or even your smartphone, you want it in working condition. At Fixology Repair, we are committed to restoring your pieces so that everything works or fits the way it ought to. Watch servicing, chain repair, and broken screen replacements are just a few of the services that we offer at our 2 locations, Mall of America and the Skyway in downtown Minneapolis. Please visit us at fixologyrepair.com or at fixologymn on Twitter to learn more. Mention this ad and get a 10% discount on our services.
So we'll get to Twitter questions here, but what do you think's going on with Tavares and the overall free agency picture?
My guess is, and I know that no fan listening to this is going to feel for him, but my guess is his head is absolutely spinning, being presented by all this from 6 excellent teams, including the Islanders. And, just imagine that, like every one of these teams is going to give you 11 to 13 million bucks. If it's the Maple Leafs, even maybe a 1-year deal at 15.9, as some people have reported. But just imagine having to digest this and all the good and bad of going to all these teams. I mean, like who wouldn't want to play in San Jose? Who wouldn't want to play in Tampa? Who wouldn't want to play in Boston or Long Island or Toronto? I mean, especially New York. My head is spinning. His head is spinning, and mine.
But your head's always spinning.
Yeah. And I just think that now it's kind of, I don't know, you go through this process. I got to think the Islanders are freaking out now. Like the second that Lou Lamoriello was hired, I mean, the guy's basically in the mob. I'm like, well, he's going to get his guy. I mean, he essentially had legal tampering the week before where he allegedly was meeting, even though it wasn't announced that he left Toronto and was going to Long Island, he was meeting with Tavares. I mean, only Lou can get away with that in the NHL and not get in trouble. Then he gets Barry Trotz, and so Trotz, I'm thinking, well, Trotz must know that Tavares is coming back, because why would Trotz commit to that situation unless even though there's not a job available technically, but you could wait, unless you knew that Tavares was coming back. But then he goes through this process, and all of a sudden he's getting wooed by all these teams. He's from Toronto. He's got Joe Pavelski's grandmother begging him to come to San Jose. Steve Yzerman saying, in Tampa is just like, here, like, I'm a Hall of Famer, come play with me. It's I don't know. I don't know what he's going to do. I will say this, and I've alluded to it on my piece on The Athletic right now, but I think that if he goes to Toronto, if I'm Paul Fenton, and this is what I think is delaying things right now. If I'm Paul Fenton and he goes to Toronto, I call up a minute later Kyle Dubas, and I say, all right, buddy. Okay, you just gave Tavares 12. You're going to have to sign Matthews in a year to 14 or 15. How the F do you think that you're going to be able to sign Mitch Marner or William Nylander or all these guys? Like, if I'm the Wild, I go to them and I offer Dumba if it's for a couple of those young studs, or I offer Spurgeon. I do it. I just think that's, and I think that same thing with Tampa. And they got Tommy Curvers, who was just senior advisor in Tampa, so nobody knows them better. If Tampa gets Tavares, how the hell are they going to afford anybody? I mean, it's crazy. You look at their cap structure. They're going to have to trade some guys. So I go and I pounce. And I do think it's prudent at this point. Like, I know a lot of people med my story because of the lack of free agents and the sexy names. But if I'm Paul Fenton, the best way to fix this team is via trade, not free agency.
Right.
And so I'm perfectly...
That's so true.
Yes.
So often in professional sports,
Yeah.
everybody wants the easy, quick fix. Oh, you get them. All you have to do is give them money. Whenever you sign a free agent, that's somebody that had their team let them go, and there's always a reason.
Yes.
I'm not saying that all free agents are bad. I'm saying that free agents...
Or they're up there in age and you're going to get overpaid.
They're getting paid for what they used to do. I would say somewhere between 80 and 90% of free agent signings end up disappointing on some level. It's like Parisian Suter. You can't blame them for going and getting these guys. They were very good players. They played very, very well here, but they didn't go out and sign those guys so they could lose in the first round of the playoffs.
Right. No doubt. And so I just think that it is the right thing to do to be patient here and make the right trade. Because if you trade Zucker or Nino or Dumba or these guys in bad deals, then you're just really setting your organization back. So make sure it is the right deal, even as much as it's pissing off the fans right now. It takes you into later in the summer, or it takes you into next week. But I think I think the reason why we haven't seen trades right now is because everybody's cap strapped, or not everybody, but you get my hyperbole there. And so I do think that a lot of these GMs are being smart and saying, wait a minute, I want to see what the hell JVR signs for and with who. I want to see who the hell John Tavares signs with and who, and then try to pounce on those teams to get their good players, because they're going to have to make moves. And so I think that's the absolute right thing to do. And so, but I do think hopefully Paul Fenton and his staff are thinking kind of the way that I am here, where they're, you've waited this long, find out where these guys are going. And man, if it's Toronto, like even though they have a ton of cap space right now, Toronto, eventually, they have to pay these young kids. I can't see how they can keep them all if they get Tavares. And that is why, by the way, a lot of these reporters were leaked the whole 1 year, 15, the max deal. Because it's like, all right, let's give Tavares the max. We'll wait till we have to re-sign all these other guys. We'll get him for a year, maybe win a cup, and then he can go back to freaking Lou, or somebody else. And so, or back into free agency next summer. That would turn the league completely upside down if all of a sudden Tavares was added to that list of players next year that's a free agent if he only signed a 1 year deal. So Marian Hossa once did that, I think, in Detroit. So,
man, this is good stuff. This is in-depth, high-energy stuff. Let's get to Twitter questions. Let Michael buzz through all those after I remind you, Hoaglund, that's Tony Hoaglund's last name, his spelling. Google him. He's your State Farm agent in Champlin. He works, of course, he'll work anywhere in the Twin Cities or anywhere you want to do business with him. You can use the app. You can call. You can go to the website. Everything's very interactive and very easy. And again, the two people doing this podcast both get our insurance through Tony Hoaglund and State Farm.
Hey, Minnesota sports fans. This is your local State Farm agent, Tony Hoaglund. I need you all to ask yourselves this question. If you're in an at-fault car accident and you are sued for $700,000, how much of that $700,000 will my current insurance company pay? If you are unsure or can't answer all $700,000, you need to give us a call. State Farm has been number one in car insurance since World War II and number one in homeowners insurance since 1964. For a no-obligation review of your current policies, call us at 763-421-4900 or check out our website at www.champlininsurance.com.
All right, Twitter questions. Old friend Todd. Todd, we hope to see you out at Dulono's. Good. We haven't seen you in quite a while now. Todd asked, do you know what the Wild think of Grabner, cheap, speedy scorer, Riley Nash, cheap, speedy third line, Joe Thornton, mentor young centers like Stahl and Koivu? Thanks, guys.
Thornton's not coming here, and he wants to stay in San Jose. And if he is available, I wouldn't sign him. I like Riley Nash. Age is right. After the injuries that Thornton had last year, I get he's still Joe Thornton, Hall of Famer, first ballot, was in my Sports Illustrated for Kids book once.
Thrill for him.
But, I don't know. Thornton isn't a fit. Thornton's going to want to go somewhere where he can, in a 1 year deal, where he can win a cup. Like, sorry, but teams aren't going to look at the Wild, and that, a guy like that's not going to look at the Wild. I mean, sometimes fans need to look at stuff logically. It's like that Twitter account this week that got all Wild fans up in arms that the Wild offered Nino, Coyle, and Kaprizov for Panarin. Like I don't even understand why Wild fans have to tweet me. The guy, it's an anonymous Twitter account. So right away, the guy's credibility is, I don't want to let you know who I am because I'm a freaking nobody that lives in his basement or a teenager or whatever and is enjoying getting people up in arms. Just go through his tweets. Has anything he ever written come true or not been something that he's tweeted after somebody wrote that possibly, those guys are potentially available? That's what all these Twitter people do. They read... He follows me on Twitter. They read who's available. They read, Russo says Panarin's perfect. So then they just make up something and then get a read up. Do you really think that the Wild are going to trade 3 assets like that for 1 year of Panarin without having any assurance that he's coming here?
No.
It's just not happening. Is he perfect? I'd probably give up those players for him. But unless I have, on July 1st, Dan Milstein on the phone saying he is signing with the Wild, then I am not making that trade. And do you think Columbus right now is going to let anybody speak to Dan Milstein? So, and by the way, I know, and I like Dan, and Dan, he's always accessible to all of us. I texted him something today, and he wrote me back in a second. But I will say, it's, the girlfriend thing might have gotten out of control, that Panarin wants to only go to play for 3 cities because his girlfriend is a model, and maybe that's just a bad rumor that everybody is spreading. But I have definitely heard from people that are inside the organization that he wants to play in a big city. Now, we can all, I think Minneapolis is the greatest place in this country. But, Artemi Panarin's only been to St. Paul.
That's such a good point.
And,
good point.
And so.
Good job, Michael. Way to tick off half our audience.
Yeah. So. Anyway, I think I probably should shut up now. God, those Americanos have kicked in. I think I spiced it up with a couple whiskeys. Oh, my God. So yesterday, a couple days ago, so I'm showing my place right now, like, trying to sell it.
Showing off, just like telling people, hey, I'm Michael Russo. I live here.
So the phone rings, and it's